Good morning, Vietnam! That's not how we open things, Emily. Robin Williams is amazing. Good morning, and welcome back to an all-new episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. I am your hostess with the mostest of emotional damage. Hard facts. We like to spit hard facts on this show. Alright, all jokes aside, welcome back to an all-new episode of Monday Coffee with the Doll. An episode that I'm absolutely terrified to film. So I've been going through so many changes while I've been walking out my life's path over the past, decade that I've shared with you guys. And so much has changed that it's almost unfathomable. Like, I really do a lot of times walk around feeling like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like, everything is so different on my path now that it almost feels like I've been plucked out of one body and put in the other. And my life and everything is completely different. It's like this weird detachment. And I'm trying to learn, I guess, how to balance that. I'm trying to learn how to make friends with my new self, I guess you could say. And you can't make friends with somebody if you don't know who they are, right? That's like one of the most important things in building a new friendship or starting a new relationship, is that you have to learn about that person. You have to communicate with them and be honest with them and learn about them and get to know them, to understand them fully, so you can have a friendship with them or any relationship, right? Or any connection. And we do that with every other relationship and person we meet in our life. Why do we not do that with us? I've been getting comments for a while now, over the past few years, as my content's kind of changed and moved away from being a pinup model and an influencer and a beauty blogger and that normal stuff that you see a lot of people posting about. And as that changes and my content changes, I used to get comments that were like, I miss your pinup work, and I'm like, I know, I'm sorry, but my life is changing and it's just not something I'm focused on right now. And as time has progressed and I've moved further and further away from, my modeling, it's funny now because, I just started my new social media channels for restoring my car, my Etzel. If you don't know about that, shameless plug, follow! That's a Ford Etzel Ranger! I know it's not really a Ford, I'm aware. On all social platforms, not all of them actually, just Instagram. She's got her own Instagram page, and I post about her on my Tickety Talk, and all my other accounts are normal. But I do have an Instagram and a YouTube for my car, and I've just kind of been posting a lot of fun content that I create throughout the day when I get inspiring creative ideas, or something about my car or my life at home with my family or my kids or being a mom. And I noticed I got a comment on TikTok that has been becoming kind of more of a regular now, and I don't spend a lot of time dressed up just because it's not where I want to put my time. I'm learning about the importance of time and the limit of, and what it actually represents, and I'm trying to appreciate it more and make the most of it. And for me, at this stage in my life, I just don't want to stand in front of my bathroom mirror anymore. I'm putting on makeup for what used to be mostly other people rather than just my own creative self. Like, if I'm being 100% honest, wearing makeup has always been more about how I've been representing myself towards others versus just my passion in it. So I don't want to waste any more of my time putting on makeup and dolling myself up. Like, this is it. This is the extent these days. And so a lot of my content is just me like this. And so I've been getting comments lately where people say, hey, have you ever thought about like doing any pinup or like being a pinup model? And I was just kind of laughing to myself because I never really know what to say. I don't want to come off as an asshole. Like, I don't want to be like, well, don't you know? Of course not. That's just not who I am. That's just a dick thing to do. But I never really know how to respond other than, that I used to dabble. Which is totally impostorial. I was very involved. It's like one of my biggest defining characteristics. And that's actually what this episode is about. So I'm going to try not to drone on. I'm trying to get in control of my communication and my anxiety, because my anxiety affects my communication a lot in droning and talking fast. If you've been here a while, you know me. But this episode is going to be about that. This episode is going to be about really getting to know yourself and not being afraid to embrace who you are in different phases of your life. Because I think that for a lot of us, we get stuck in phases of our life that ultimately we try to blame other people or other things in keeping us in that moment in our life. And then we start becoming uncomfortable and start becoming disconnected, and then everything feels forced, and I think it's a lot like that in relationships in any way. You get yourself in relationship with things, whether it be with human or like a goal or your job. We create these relationships with the things that we connect our own energies to, and then we can't seem to part with them. And a lot of times, we feel stuck to things because of other people, but we get stuck to things because it becomes what's comfortable for us. And then we tend to stop challenging ourselves, because challenging yourself is just as scary as other people maybe pushing your boundaries or challenging you. But it's your job to always make sure you're challenging yourself, so you can just make sure you're getting everything that you deserve. If you start challenging yourself and you don't like something, you have the right to be like, meh. You're allowed to be experimentory in aspects of your life and get to know yourself and figure out who you are. And just limiting yourself to like one ray in what a spectrum of sparkle that you are is it's a disservice to yourself, but it's also a disservice to the universe, because you were put here for a reason. So if you ignore that reason because you're too busy following the life map that somebody else maybe has designed for you, that you've decided that you're just going to go ahead and they have like this pencil, right? Like, I've never been more lost than when I was letting somebody else read and map out my future. And, there's always going to be people in our lives that try to follow in front of us with this pencil, and they're like, hey, I'm making this path for you. Follow it, follow my path. Look, it's there. You see it, it's there. And it's our job to say, yes, but here I am with my permanent pen of the choice that I'm going to make, even after you've influenced it. Are you going to write over that pencil mark? Like, are you just going to follow it? Or are you going to go off that line that somebody else was just drawing straight out for you and go your own way? And you have to not be afraid to get off of the path sometimes, even if it's a path that maybe you had been paving for yourself for a long time. So that's what we're going to be talking about on today's episode. Ciao! So pour yourself a hot steaming cup of Joe, or, whatever you like to wet your whistle with. And let's sit down and get all touchy-feely with our feels. So this TikTok that I'm talking about, I made because I thought it would be a fun idea, because, that's how creative content is born. You're interacting with people online and they're talking to you and you get these ideas. And I was like, wouldn't it be fun if I did a video where I show the question where people are like, hey, have you ever tried to do pinup? And then I just put this huge collection of all of these pictures, because I was a pinup model for a decade. I was doing professional pinup modeling work for magazines and clothing companies and photographers, and I was hosting events, and I was doing all of these things, right? I was a very active model in the scene for a really long time. So I have so many photographs of so much, and it's really fun to look back at them because they're amazing memories. And I wanted to make this TikTok reflecting that, hey, I've done it. Check this out if you guys, because I'm not really good at being like, hey, come look at me. Marketing and self-promotion has never really been strong for me to do for myself. I love doing it for other people, right? Like, I created my entire brand off basically the promotion of other people and other businesses, because that's what I was passionate about. But talking about myself is where I struggle unless I'm in front of a camera like this by myself and I'm talking to you guys. This seems to be where I can be the most vocal and open. And that's why I wanted to share this with you guys, because I've made such drastic changes, and I've taken you guys with me the entire way, and you guys have kind of just followed the whole time, supporting me whatever I'm going through, whatever crazy wild sea I'm trekking, you guys are there. So while I'm putting this TikTok together, I have the whole edit done, and I'm like, okay, now I have to, it's this defining moment, right? It's the defining moment where I put the music to it, and the music is where everything comes together. I really think hard about the music that I put with my content, because I feel like that's kind of just what wraps it up. And I was like, what sound do I want to go with? Do I want to go with like one of the trendy, there's that thing where the guy says, let me get to the good part, and then the beat drops, and then it's like usually a travel one, but I was like, what if I did that, right? And I was like, that's kind of lame. And so I'm just kind of going through the music, and BB Rexa, who I like some of her music, some of her songs. That's not really like my taste in music, I guess, like as a genre, unless I'm like trying to shake my booty and like doing, getting into that pop vibe. We all have our moments, shamelessly. But I don't know a lot about BB Rexa, and this song came on that said, I don't want to be 20 anymore, or it's called 20 anymore. And I'm listening to this song, and I'm like, holy shit, and I start to tear up, because when I put the words to my memories of being a pinup and what it taught me about myself, and the true defining piece of my story that pinup holds really is bigger than I think even I'm willing to acknowledge. And when I saw that, it's like, this is it. You're closing this chapter. You're closing that chapter of your life that was you so desperately needed for so long, that really, you guys, when I chose to be a pinup model and create my brand online, it was the first thing that I ever picked for like myself. It was the first thing that I saw and I fell in love with, and I was like, this is my shit. I love this. I love this. I'm passionate about it, and I gave it my all. And it was the one constant through this past decade of my life, and it was such a journey. And I couldn't have done it if I wasn't the vintage doll. And I owe that bitch so much. So to come to the realization that I need to stop saying, oh, I'll do pinup again, is crazy. Because I need to admit it to myself just as much as you guys, that my life is different now. And I need to embrace it. And sometimes our lives can change in such drastic ways, it can really set us off our course for a while. But that's because I think the universe is trying to tell us that this part of your story has to close. So I'm really going to have to put that rift in your journey. And that's what I think the past 6 years of my life has been. It's been this crazy road of self-discovery and this eye-opening journey of learning who I'm really meant to be, and how we all have these pieces in our story that make up who we are. And I think a lot of us get stuck rereading the same chapter because we put pressures not only from other people on our shoulders that we don't have to carry, but we choose to carry because it's hard, right? I get that. But we have to decide about the weight that we put on our own shoulders, and where it's time for us to make the hard choices. It's really easy to say, like, this situation in my life caused by somebody else has put me here. But it's really when you make up in your mind that you take control that you really start gaining traction in where you're going in life. So after I finish this TikTok, I go to post it on my Facebook page, which was the first thing that I ever created when I created the vintage doll and my online content. And I start typing out what I want to say, and if you want to read what I had to say, you're welcome to go to my Facebook page and read that with that post. But ultimately, what I had to decide was my journey, my truth, my story has all led me here. And I've shared it all with you guys. So you guys have this very fly-on-the-wall voyeuristic look into everything that I've gone through in my life since I began sharing it with you. And who I was when I first started speaking with you guys is so far from who I am now. I wanted to reintroduce myself because I truly feel like I've been reborn. And I feel like it's time for me to give the doll fam, who has been here since day one, the opportunity to either close this chapter with me and say goodbye, or sit down and continue to get to know who I am and keep going down this path with me and sharing with me so you can learn about me and we can be friends. Because you guys are a huge part of my story. Because when nobody cheered for who I really was, when the only cheering I received from my team was cheering when I followed the path that was laid out for me based off other people's direction, was suffocating me, you guys lifted me up. You lifted up my voice. Mine. Becoming a pinup model gave me the opportunity to get to know who I was, and it gave me the voice and confidence and strength to demand that I had a right to do that like everybody else, and it gave me control over me. Because I have never been in an environment where I was allowed to have control over that. And being the vintage doll was the first voice I could control. And you guys lifted that voice up. You guys empowered me and have been for a decade. And I am so thankful for all of you. It's crazy how you can receive such love and support from people who you've never even physically seen. I haven't seen so many of you. I see when you comment on my page, and I see when you interact with me, and I love interacting and talking with you guys. Or if you come with me with even tech problems. I had some follower in my inbox, and he was like, hey, I can't figure out how to make reels work. Can you help me? And I was like, this actually happened to me. I can. Not, hey, pinup modeling, or hey, makeup. Just, hey, can you help me with this tech problem? And I was like, hi, person on the internet that follows me that I've never spoken to. Let's try to figure out this problem with you. Like, I love you guys. And I don't think I'm ever going to stop using this as my source of art and release. But it's important that from here on out my art depicts me and not any path that has been chosen by anyone else. Because that's important. It's important that we always are looking ahead down our path. Is this where I want to go? Am I going the right way? Am I happy? Check your peace. Because when you have peace with your own choices and the things that are what you're picking to define you, you will have peace. And the more that you make peace within yourself and who you are and who you choose to be, not dictated or planned out by anybody else, you start to become really, really close friends with yourself. And then all of a sudden you're in this relationship with yourself where you are so in love with you. You would defend yourself at all costs, just like you would defend any lover or twin flame. I think that we really need to start treating ourselves like the ultimate partner. Defend yourself at all costs, because it's literally your purpose to find your true happiness, to find what your voice is supposed to stand for in this time that you are given, and time is so important. Time is not something that we can get back, because it's not real to begin with, but we're always moving forward. Make sure you're the one choosing that forward pull that's getting you there. Don't let anybody else be the magnet. Don't let anybody else pull you. Pull yourself. You're so strong. All right, well, that's going to be it for this episode of Monday Coffee. And I really appreciate you guys spending time with me and sitting with me. For those that have been with me since the very beginning, who got on the crazy train of me wanting to just be a pinup model, I appreciate the support that you guys have given me through my entire journey in that. And I appreciate the people who, because they got to know who I was through that art that I created, stuck around and were a part of my influencing content, right? I'm creating beauty videos and hair videos and style videos, and you guys supported that. And for the people who came for that, thank you for supporting that, because that was a big part of my childhood dream. And thank you to the people who like my YouTube content, my Monday Coffee video, my videos about real life experiences and shit that I've gone through that's almost broke me, and shit that I've done that's built me back up. And thank you for being here to share all of the experiences. And thank you for staying because you like who I am. Imposter syndrome sounds so stupid. I hate labels. But I'm trying to get to know me so I can learn how to balance all of the parts of me so I can use them all for good. Because I'm always trying to make peace within myself so I can walk in love with others. Because I love people. And I think that's why this has been one of my most defining choices in my life. It's not just becoming a pinup model, but deciding to share my real voice so raw and unapologetically with so many people who wanted to get to know who I was. And I appreciate you. And I appreciate you being a part of the Doll Fam. And I just want to say thank you for being here. And if you're just getting here, you're new here, welcome to the table. Because there's always room for you here. And I love sharing my tacos with all of you. And my coffee. Speaking of which, let's hear a shameless plug from our sponsor so I stop crying. Have you been looking for a coffee bean that gets your butt in gear? Well, let me tell you. Sleeping Dog Coffee Beans. The coffee beans for those who, even though they can't get up in the morning, they do. Because it's just that doggone delicious. Brew yourself a mug. Share some with your pug. Sleeping Dog Coffee Beans. It's the brew for me. Ding. Jessica, I love you. I'm so sorry. Absolutely love and adore all of your faces. And I hope that you guys continue on this journey as we make friends again. And you get to know who Emily Doll is now versus who she was when she was the vintage doll. And some of you might choose to say goodbye. And if that's the case, I am only sending you with the most positive blessings of every way, shape, and form. And thank you for spending and sharing something so important with me. That is your time and your mental state and how you feel and think, and when you leave comments and let me know pieces of your own history and how you relate to posts that I make. Thank you for all of those parts of yourself that you've shared with me, and I wish you nothing the best. And for those of you who are staying around or are just getting here, thank you. And I will never stop letting you know that one of the most important things that you can remember is that these are the days that fill your week. Make them as amazing as you are. Because you're really, really amazing. I love your faces. And I will see you next time. This has been the first official release for the newest adventures of adollforallproductions. I love your faces. Bye!
Words are just words until action actually starts. And actions speak louder than words, but at the same time, words speak louder than actions because sometimes it's the right thing to do. Very cool. Okay, this
From all of the life I've been through. better lover than I was in 2010. Oh baby, let me show you